Do bundle up, it's awfully cold outside.
Funnily enough, we never lose our luggage.
So what kind of work do you do?
I'm in the toy business.
No way.
Way.
Oh, that sounds so creative.
I love it.
I love creative people.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Welcome to this year's Unpacking It and Fantasy Football Fellowship podcast Christmas special. Christmas extravaganza. Hopefully you recognized a couple of those fun movie quotes from a couple of my favorite Christmas movies. Santa Claus 2, Home Alone 2. They're the best. So we, on today's show, will discuss some of our favorite Christmas movies, some of our favorite Christmas songs. We've got a special topic today that relates sports to life, to faith, to Christmas, and hopefully will give us a cool perspective this time of year as we head into or continue into the Christmas season, leading up to the big day, of course. But I'm always a season guy. Like, Christmas Day is awesome, but I love the whole month. So it's 25 days of Christmas fun with work and responsibilities mixed in there, but plenty of time for all of the Christmas fun. So we are glad to be with you today. I am joined in studio by Pastor Trip Smith, and so we will say hello to him in just a moment. But for all of our Fantasy Football Fellowship listeners and viewers, you know Trip well, and so he's been our co-host all season long, and we will do a little bit of fantasy football talk on the show today as we compare fantasy players to Christmas movies. So what fantasy player reminds you of the Grinch? Because he stole, not Christmas, but he stole your fantasy season. And then what fantasy player reminds you of the movie Elf or Home Alone or actually Home Alone 2 and Home Alone? I think we have both represented. And Santa Claus. So we'll have a blast doing that. And then for those of you that are normal, hopefully you listen to both podcasts, but for our Unpacking It audience, you're used to kind of rotating guest co-host. Trip has been a part of that throughout the year as well. And so we're glad to have him for this dual podcast. It's everywhere. Unpacking It, Fantasy Football Fellowship. We're coming to you with plenty of Christmas spirit. We've got the Christmas lights up here in the studio. These were the lights I was able to grab from my house because Jody doesn't like this specific yellow color. So thankfully, we've got mainly colored lights at home, but she likes a little bit of white, but it's a specific white. And so this one I was able to take and hopefully decorate the studio a little bit. I am wearing my Christmas t-shirt, sweatshirt that says, I don't know, Margot. So Jody has the other one that says, why is the carpet all wet, Todd? And so that, of course, is from Christmas Vacation. And on that note, let's say hello to Trip Smith. Trip, Merry Christmas. How you doing?
It's the most wonderful time. You know, Bryce, I was thinking about because of the times of the year that you and I spend the most time together, I often come into various episodes of this podcast saying it's the most wonderful time of the year. Like when we're coming into football season, or when football, baseball, and basketball gloriously overlap for just a few weeks during the fall. But this really
March Madness.
March Madness. Yeah, this really is the most wonderful time of the year. I mean, I love the Christmas season, especially now as we're recording this. We are, I think we're jumping into the true 12 days of Christmas. Christmas, the 12 days building up to the big day. And I love just to do the season of Christmas, to watch the movies. You get a great serving of sports during the holiday season as well. So it really is the most wonderful time of the year. And I'm grateful to be doing this with you to mark another Christmas season. This is amazing, man.
Yeah, we had you on the show last year,
That's
so
right.
we are back, and man, it's been fun. I've been doing this is our 12th year of Unpacking It, and for many of those years, we've done a Christmas special, and some of you have listened over the years. So shout out to guys like Steve and Luke Heaton, who used to be a former co-host on the show as well.
The OGs.
That's right. So so love doing this show, but one of the things that I've mentioned over the years is always the question: what are your top 5 Christmas movies that are in the yearly rotation? And for some of you, it's one movie. For some of you, maybe it's 2 movies that every single year, it's not Christmas until you watch those movies. And so before I release my 5, what are yours, Trip, that every year it's like, gotta pop these on?
Getting to be on this episode with you last year, I'm not exaggerating when I say that at various points throughout this calendar year, I have thought about our episode from last season and whether I want to revise any of my answers. And in general, my list has stayed the same. I mean, my wife and I have this tradition. It is now a true tradition for us every year, Christmas Eve, after the kids are in bed, after the presents are all set up and everything's just right for Christmas morning, we always watch It's a Wonderful Life together.
Nice.
And It's a Wonderful Life is one of those old movies, it is one of those old-timey black and white films that I think would properly be described at times as a boring movie, right? It's just it's a slower pace. It's sort of just kind of ruminates and lets scenes linger longer than modern movies do. And so even going into it, I'm like, I know, like I'm gonna be, but it's just a beautiful movie. I think it is just a wonderful movie with a wonderful message, a perfect ending. I cry every time when I get to the end. No one who has friends will ever be poor, and every time a bell rings, an angel gets his wings. The whole final scene there where the crowd is singing Auld Lang Syne, it's just the perfect way to jump into Christmas Day with my family. So
that's cool.
That's my number
like
one. I don't see that ever being dethroned as my number one. Growing up, for my family of origin, the family I grew up in, Christmas Story was our movie because it's a movie about a messy, dysfunctional family learning to love each other at Christmas time. And it just resonated with our crazy family. So I still love Christmas Story. We led into the episode with some of those iconic quotes. I think the father from Christmas Story, just that actor, I should know that actor's name. He's a wonderful actor, the guy who plays the dad in Christmas Story. And he has some of the most iconic Christmas movie quotes for me personally that I can think of. So that's my number 2. Number 3, Elf. You and I have talked before about the last great Christmas classic. I don't know of a movie since Elf came out in the early 2000s that I would consider necessarily on the classic list, but Elf is just a perfect movie. And then Christmas Vacation is the one that you and I overlap on. We love Christmas Vacation. So funny, so many great quotes. That's right.
So number 1 for me is Santa Claus. The original Santa Claus is my absolute favorite Christmas movie and has been since I was 8 years old. And so that still holds up, but I love all 3 of them. They're fantastic. And then the Home Alones, I like both of them. I prefer the second one to the first one. I just think there's more action to it, but I've already watched the first one this year, so I've got that checked off the list. And then Christmas Vacation, I've already watched most of that this year. That comes in at number 3. Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger is a wild ride. We will talk about that movie when we discuss fantasy football players that remind us of these movies. And then number 5, Polar Express. This year, my family, we are going to the Polar Express in Spencer, North Carolina. So we are excited about that. We will experience whatever, I don't know what it means that we're going to the Polar Express, but we are going to experience this book, this movie in real life.
So y'all haven't been before?
No.
I haven't been,
okay,
but I've heard from many people I trust that it is a really great experience, and it's super, super fun, especially if you love the movie. Have you watched the movie yet this year?
No, but we will beforehand, and we were trying to find time to do so.
Did you pay attention to the really complex and nuanced father themes that I brought up last year?
Oh, that's right. I don't think I've watched it. Oh, maybe I did watch. I know I did watch it. Yeah.
It's a movie about the important, complex, often disintegrated relationship that all of us have with our fathers, and I want you to pay attention to that.
That's right.
Year.
That's right. No,
really
I think I did a little bit when I watched it last year.
Okay, I told you I was coming to this episode with some hot takes this year.
Yeah.
Here's my first one. after we did this last year, I said, I need to go watch Jingle All the Way. I was like, I feel like I have watched it at some point, but it's not a part of the rotation for me. Hated it.
No.
Hated it, dude.
No.
Yeah. And I totally respect that if it was an important movie to you growing up and one that you watch over and over again, those movies they develop a special place in your heart, whether they are good movies or not. I'm convinced that it is objectively a bad movie, even as subjectively you love it. So that's my first hot take for the day. I'm an Arnold guy, but I'm not like everything that Arnold Schwarzenegger does is awesome. But I watched the movie and I was like, I'm really not enjoying this. And I got to remember to tell Bryce this next year. So.
All right. So after last year, I admitted that I've never seen The Christmas Story or finished A Christmas Story or Die Hard. Never seen either one.
Mm-hmm.
So last night, Jody went out to a ladies' night Christmas party type thing. So I had some time I had a football game on one TV and decided to start A Christmas Story. I may have lasted 10 minutes.
No.
I couldn't even make it through. I can't do it. So I gave up on A Christmas Story.
Uh-huh.
And I think I've made it 10 minutes before, and I think I've seen this part
I'm
before.
trying to think of how it starts.
And then I'm out.
It's an unusual, it's kind of obscure, and it's a product of its time.
I tried to factor that in, and I still couldn't do it. So then I go, all right, let me try Die Hard. And I watched the TV version of Die Hard, so it was
there
edited.
You go. Yeah, that's a good approach, actually. Yeah, that's a good recommendation.
Yes, so watch the edited version. And I will say that it was intriguing. I haven't finished it quite yet. I'm close, but I've seen enough of it to make a judgment on it. I think it is an enjoyable watch. And I know for my whole life, I've heard the debate, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? And I will absolutely be on the side. It is not.
Wow.
It is not a Christmas movie.
Okay.
Don't give me the Christmas movie. Now, now we can then debate, is it a good movie? Yeah, I think it's fine. It's an action movie. And you said you're not a huge Arnold guy. I'm not a huge Bruce.
See, the charisma of Bruce Willis carries
guy.
it for me. Yeah, so maybe that's what it is.
I'm an Arnold guy, definitely over Bruce Willis.
I want to say I was gonna do the right thing and say, hey, I'm not offended by the fact that you don't like those movies, and I hope you're not offended by but the truth is I am offended. I am offended that you don't like Christmas Story and Die Hard.
Yeah,
that you couldn't make it through 10 minutes is
no.
Yeah.
But I'll finish
I hope
Die
that you're
Hard.
offended by my Jingle All the Way take.
Yeah, I am offended.
This is the Christmas the Festivus airing of the grievances that we're doing right now.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's what's so funny about Christmas movies, because there are classics, but then people like certain ones. Like I know a number of people that don't like Polar Express. It's too slow. It's cartoon. They think the characters are weird, which, this has been a huge part of our family. We love Polar Express. People don't put Santa Claus as high as, so I understand that. So that's why it's fun to just talk about. So those of you watching and listening, what are your top 5? Where do you come out? What is it about A Christmas Story that you love it? And I still can't wrap my mind around TBS showing it for 24 hours straight.
Right.
It's just baffling to me. So I can't get there. But anyway, so I finally at least can understand the Die Hard conversation, but it is not a Christmas movie. To me, a Christmas movie has to be about Christmas. Mm-hmm. The main focus is about Christmas. Now, I think it's fair to argue Home Alone and Home Alone 2 in that conversation.
Right.
But there's so much underlying Christmas throughout the movie that I think it's justifiable.
That opens up a whole can of worms because it's like it's about Christmas, but what is Christmas about? We on this podcast would say it's about the incarnation of Jesus, the invasion of Jesus. But Christmas is so often about the complexities of family, the ways that we disappoint each other but still try to love each other. It's often about childhood and some of the confusion and pain of growing up. I would say that A Christmas Story is actually not so much a movie as a collection of different scenes and events that are kind of like a reflection on an unusual childhood. And so to your point, it is a movie that like, it means a lot more to you if you were forced to watch it as a kid, the way that I was over and over and over again. So yeah, I take your point there. Yeah. And it's so much about the nostalgia of what you have from your past family life. Yeah.
Yeah. That's you identify with one thing or another. Cause like I identify with Clark Griswold because I want to create the perfect family atmosphere and everything goes wrong.
Yeah.
Which I'm already experiencing so far in December. So that's just I get it.
You are having a very Christmas vacation Christmas, Bryce.
Yes. So far so good for the Clark Griswold Johnson Christmas time. But the other thing you bring up too, which is a great pushback to me, talk about Christmas movies being about Christmas. These are superficial Christmas movies about the superficial Christmas elements. But if we can look for the true meaning of Christmas and where Jesus shows up in these movies and challenge ourselves to actually see the elements of the true meaning of Christmas and the layers, how God shows up in so many amazing ways, I think that's the right approach all year long in all the things that we do. And that's why we view fantasy football through that lens. That's why we view sports through that lens here at Unpacking It. And so it's fun to view Christmas movies through that lens. And I even heard a take on how Home Alone 1 has the element of Jesus being represented in that movie. Have you heard this?
I haven't, but I could theorize. What? Tell me your
Old Man Marley next door.
Right. There's always this least of these sort of character, right? The social outcast, the gentle and lowly character who comes in and is the hero of those movies. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
I like that.
But Old Man Marley saved Kevin.
Right.
Kevin couldn't save himself.
He tried as hard as he could to save himself, and nothing that he did ultimately worked. And then Old Man Marley comes in with the shovel.
That's right.
And there's that great scene where they meet each other in the church as he's watching. Is it his granddaughter singing in the choir? It's a beautiful scene.
Yep.
One of the kind of most, I think, emotionally resonant scenes of any Christmas movie for me that I watch is that scene, him talking about his relationship with his son and the granddaughter.
There's a lot there. Yeah. So it's I'm glad you brought that up because I think that's a key part of it because I could get caught up in the silliness of Christmas very quickly, and like many people, so we've got to always kind of just snap out of it.
Yeah.
But I still go back to my take on a Christmas movie should be about Christmas if we're going to call it a Christmas movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Die Hard is not about Christmas. There's nothing about Christmas.
You're right. Yeah. And
that's my take.
There's another movie that I love called Catch Me If You Can with Leonardo DiCaprio, and it sort of interacts with Christmas on like a year-over-year basis. Whether or not it's a Christmas movie is very much up for debate. So I like that. What makes something a Christmas movie? The Die Hard debate I think is endlessly fascinating, but I'm happy to knock Die Hard off my list for holdovers, which is objectively and certainly a Christmas movie. Yeah.
Okay.
Have you added anything new this year that you've discovered thus far that you have liked?
So our friend, my brother, your friend Colby, the other day around Thanksgiving said, "Hey, Fred Claus is one of my favorites," and I was like, "Well, Fred Claus." I watched it again, really good.
Yeah.
Fred Claus. The more you watch it, really good, and I forgot how funny the beginning of the movie was, but there's some Vince Vaughn classic dialogue that is really good. So there's a lot of threads in that movie that talk about family dynamics and stuff. So I watched that with new eyes and appreciated that. And then I also saw the movie Christmas Heist.
Okay, was that any
It was
good?
kind
I've
of
seen
fun.
that streaming across my
It was
Netflix
kind of fun.
ticker, yeah.
Very superficial, but it was fun. There were some moments in there that you could pull something good.
Well, there was
out
the
of.
one that Netflix released last year that was like the airport security kind
Not a
of suspense
Christmas
one
movie.
with not really a Christmas movie, and I would say not really a good movie. So I've been thinking about checking out Christmas Heist. I want to see that.
It's worth a watch.
Enjoyable enough.
It was pretty fun.
Yeah. Have you ever watched the Nightmare Before Christmas?
Never.
Me neither. And
I would-
some people,
I
I know
don't think
people
I
who I
would.
respect who rave about that movie as like and that's a weird one that it seems like a Halloween movie, but I'm told that it's very much a Christmas movie. And it's one of the most highly rated Christmas movies on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, it's like number 4 on Rotten Tomatoes. So people love that movie. I'm thinking about giving it a shot this year.
Ooh.
I'm not totally sold on it. It seems unusual.
Yeah, I'm not into that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that will not be on my rotation.
I'll
this
say
year.
last year after we talked on this episode, I watched on Disney Plus the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. And especially for anyone listening like me who enjoys the Marvel universe, especially the pre-Thanos Marvel movies before they all got really bad, in my opinion. But if you like that kind of motley crew of Guardians of the Galaxy characters, that little Christmas special, it's the perfect length. It's really, really fun. It has this unexpectedly great performance from Kevin Bacon. And even if you're not in the Marvel world, I think you would still think that it was funny. But if you like those Marvel movies, you gotta watch the Christmas special of Guardians of the Galaxy. It's quite good. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was my new one for this year that we didn't get to talk about last year. But yeah.
Nice. All right. I'm not a Galaxy guy, so I like real life. other than Turbo Man
would love
in
to live out in
Arnold
the galaxy.
Schwarzenegger's Jingle All the Way. That's the most adventurous I get. So that's my superhero. Turbo Man is my favorite superhero. That's why I need to start telling people, hey, what's your favorite Marvel movie or superhero movie? Turbo Man. Turbo Man. That's my guy. So let's go. Arnold, put that cookie down.
Oh, that's good.
You can't
I forgot
beat it.
how good your Arnold is.
You can't beat that. No, it's a great movie. Phil Hartman. It's so funny. Gosh, it's a funny movie. All right. So we have got some important conversations to be had about Christmas that we will get to in just a little bit. I've got some thoughts on going to see Santa, decorating, and Christmas cookies. But before that, we do want to talk about something important, which is this year's kind of Christmas message and encouragement. And, you know, we always goof around on this Christmas special every year. And so I hope that you guys enjoy listening and goofing around with us. But we do want to always, here at Unpacking It, point sports fans to Jesus. And so this year, here's what's on my heart. So I've got an 11-year-old nephew, and it's been probably the last year or two, has become a diehard sports fan. And so I'm a girl dad, and I love having girls, and it's awesome. So I desired girls. God gave me the desire of my heart, and I have 2 daughters, and it's tremendous. They are fantastic. But I love being an uncle to an 11-year-old boy who's becoming a sports fan. And what I love about it is the newness and that childlike awe of sports, that when you first become a fan, and he's crying after Chiefs losses. He's a Chiefs fan, of course. So he comes into the sport. Chiefs are the best, so he becomes a Chiefs fan. Well, now, second year, it's not so good. Not so good as a Chiefs fan anymore. Now he's dealing with those emotions. But anyway, when I see my nephew, he's collecting cards. So now I give him some of my old cards, and I'm just loving it. But the point is this childlike sports fandom that I'm watching and reminding myself, when I was his age, I was just like him, getting into cards, watching sports, being emotional about sports, being in awe, loving all these different players. And it's really cool. So before I make the parallel to Christmas, any thoughts on that?
Well, as you're saying that, so my second oldest, who's only 3, but he
Die hard.
My
He's in
boys
5 fantasy leagues.
Well, that's right. Yeah, I'm raising him up in the proper way. Yeah, he's in it. Yeah. No, we watched the Monsters Inc. Monday Night Football game the other night. And we had to record the second half of it because they had to go to bed. But
You watched the first 2 plays?
He cried because Mike Wazowski and the Eagles, Eagles are one of his teams because he likes their green, that Kelly green jersey thing that they do. So yeah, but same. I had forgotten the childhood pain of like really rooting for a team.
Yeah.
And then when they lose, like how much you feel that. Riding home with my dad from NC State football and basketball games and just being like, I really wanted them to win. And they didn't win. And there is something so beautiful and so pure about that. So yeah, I love that, man. Yeah, 11 years old. That's a fun age, dude. Yeah, that's good.
It's fun. So I've got that. So I'm looking forward to seeing him. I'm going to get him some packs of cards for Christmas. And so it's all fun. So there's that aspect. Now, let's talk about the Christmas side. This time of year I've got a 6-year-old and a 4-year-old. So they're thrilled about the spirit of Christmas, the magic of Christmas, all of that, the wonder of Christmas. Don't worry, we're very rooted in the story of Jesus, but all the fun that goes into it, putting ornaments up, and they like eggnog and all that kind of thing. We've got a special elf that comes to our house and has already delivered 1 gift. I think he's scheduled to deliver 1 or 2 more gifts before Christmas. So we get excited about that. And there is a childlike wonder to Christmas that's really fun. And I try to, take myself back to being a kid because I loved Christmas as a kid, and I've never really grown up when it comes to Christmas as a kid. I still watch Santa Claus and love it and all those kinds of things. I still run down the stairs with my daughters. I've always carried one of them. I don't think I'll have to this year, so that'll be interesting how I fit into that mix. But I bring all of this up to, just think about the childlike wonder, awe, love of sports and Christmas as a kid. And then somewhere along the way, like as a sports fan, if the Panthers lose, I don't care as much as I used to. And even when, my teams win, I still get excited, but not to the level that I once did as an 11-year-old or 13-year-old when I was a Duke fan in the midst of all Carolina fans. And I bring this up because how does this translate to our faith as followers of Jesus? Because for many of us, especially if you became a follower of Jesus as a young kid, there's an awe and excitement there about Jesus. But whenever we turn our life to Jesus, there is an excitement. There is a wonder. There is a freshness, a newness, all of it is exciting. And, I can't wait. I can't wait to read the Bible. I can't wait to show up to church. And then fast forward 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, we grow up a little bit. Do we still have that same wonder? I hope we do, but do we? Do we still have the same awe? Do we still have the newness, the freshness, or has the gospel become stale? Have we allowed the gospel to become stale? Is it just like, all right, we're putting ornaments on the tree? Is it, I'm just going to church on Sunday. When is this over? I got lunch plans. Has that become the attitude? And as we think about, even Christmas is about Jesus coming as a baby. And we think about, Christmas is so centered around, young kids and the excitement of Christmas. We go to Scripture and we realize the value of childlike faith. That Jesus talks about childlike faith. And the reality that we actually don't need to lose that childlike faith. That we have to be diligent and intentional, but just as excited as we were at the beginning, we still can be. But are we? And so let's dive into some scripture, and then Tripp, excited to hear your thoughts on this topic. But let's begin with Matthew 18, 1-4. This is the Amplified translation. At that time, the disciples came to Jesus and asked, "Who is greatest in the kingdom of heaven?" He called a little child and set him before them and said, "I assure you and most solemnly say to you, unless you repent, that is, change your inner self, your old way of thinking, live changed lives, and become like children, trusting, humble, and forgiving, you will never enter the kingdom of heaven. Therefore, whoever humbles himself like this child is greatest in the kingdom of heaven." And so I love this picture. I love this reminder, and I love the humility, the desperation, the trust, and the joy that a child has. For Jesus, when they get it, when you see, young kids understand it, and then comparing this to sports and Christmas too, that some of these qualities translate, but most importantly, those childlike faith qualities, do we represent them? And man, what would it look like if we did?
I feel like I'm getting emotional over here as you're talking about that. Just as I'm thinking about it, this anticipation and waiting on something that you deeply desire feels like it is near the center of the bullseye of the true meaning of Christmas as it's presented to us in the Bible. As the way God explains it to us in His Word. Don't you think that it's true that part of what it means to grow up from being a child to an adult is that the waiting period between a new anticipation, a new expectation, and that expectation being met gets longer and longer until you reach that stage of full adulthood where you start to be able to ask the question, are the deep desires of my heart, the things that I'm really anticipating, are they ever going to be fulfilled in this life? Are they going to be met at all? I think that Christmas, we talk about Christmas as the season of Advent. It's the coming, the arrival of something, and we are looking back to the first coming of Jesus, but it is also a season of anticipating the second coming of Jesus.
Amen.
And I wonder if for so many of us deep down in our hearts, we as adults, the reason that we have become cynical and lost some of that childlikeness is because deep down, we sort of wonder, is the thing that I'm longing for ever going to come to fruition? Is it ever going to arrive? And the full-throated answer of God in his word is, yes, it will. Jesus is coming again. He is coming to set all things right. I mean, as you were talking, I'm thinking about two songs that I've been listening to this Christmas. One of them is a secular Christmas song that was served to me by my Spotify algorithm, a song called Ghost of Christmas, a Ghost of Colored Lights. And I don't think this band is Christian, but they clearly have some kind of like biblical background. And they're singing about, as an adult, this time of year, remembering all of the good memories we had in childhood, and now feeling like most of those things have left from us. And so we come together and we sing, O come, Emmanuel. The chorus of the song is we come together, we sing, O come, Emmanuel, but we don't really believe that anything is actually coming that's good, right? Comparing that to it's either John Wesley or Charles Wesley, Come Thou Long Expected Jesus, where the whole song is about awaiting for Jesus to come again. And I think there's a line in there that says, Dear desire of every nation, joy of every longing heart, right? We have hearts that long deeply for a joy that nothing in this world can quite satisfy. And so my question as we talk about this topic is, what do you think that it takes to recover that childlikeness? Because it's clearly, you read it right there in Matthew 18, it's articulated most clearly, but this is all over the scripture, is how do we become people that don't become cynical and hardened, but continue to long and expect and wait, hopefully, for the promise that we have that Jesus is returning. And that's an open question for me. What does it take to recover that childlikeness? Because I can often be a very... I can be a cynical and pessimistic person. So that's the question this is stirring up in my heart.
It's powerful. No, I love it. And along those lines too, just thinking about, okay, so if children are humble and desperate and so trusting and so joyful, I mean, my daughters are so joyful. It's so fun to see. So the opposite, you mentioned it, we become cynical, negative, jaded, uptight, boring, and we just lose our excitement, anticipation, and awe of Jesus and all that comes with it, and with him, and the hope that he gives us. And so we allow the world to and the troubles and the problems of life and the brokenness of life to steal a lot of that. And so we lose the joy of man, just all that we have in Christ, and one day knowing that we'll be with him forever, and the fact that he saved us and empowers us every day. And so that's part of the encouragement. The other side of this conversation, which we talk a lot about on Unpacking It and Fantasy Football Fellowship, is we absolutely always want to grow and mature in our faith, in our character. We want to become more like Jesus. And so the message and encouragement today is not remain a child and we still act like we did when we were 11 years old, where the most important thing is getting the newest Madden and goofing around with our buddies and farting and all that kind of thing.
All those,
So no, we don't remain as immature, morons either. So we want to grow in our faith and we want to mature. We don't want to continue to participate in the same sins that we did when we were immature in our faith and didn't know who Jesus was, or before Jesus even. So we are growing, maturing, and yes, becoming that way, right? So becoming more like Jesus, while also remembering we are a child of God and embracing that I am a child of God. So let me embrace him being my father and me being being a child. And what does it look like to actually have childlike faith, even as a mature believer, even as someone who has grown in his faith, to keep the awe, to keep the wonder, to be excited to go to church, to anticipate what the Lord is going to share through the pastor, through the worship time, through the Sunday school teacher. Like when I open my Bible in the morning, not just doing it out of rhythm, which is good. It's good to have that rhythm, but not only that, but with this awe, excitement, wonder, like a child hearing it for the first time. What if I read the Christmas story like it's the first time?
Yeah.
Like, oh my goodness. This year I did read something that hit me different for the first time, and now I've already forgotten it in the moment. But viewing it that kind of way. So anyway, I'm going on and on. But
that's great, man. Yeah. And there is something to be, so you're naming something really important, which is like the Bible talks about maturing. in your faith as a follower of Jesus, and it talks about childlikeness from beginning to end. It is all over the place. And those are sort of in tension, but not, I mean, so one of my favorite Psalms, it's Psalm 31, that where it basically says, Lord, my heart isn't proud, my eyes aren't haughty. I don't concern myself with things that are too great or too complicated for me. And then there's this line that says, instead, my heart is like a weaned child with its mother. Yes, Lord, my heart is like a weaned child. And I've always wondered about that, because the definition of a weaned child is a child that is no longer breastfeeding, right? A child that has grown up in some way. And so what that psalm is describing is a child that is peacefully sitting on his mother's lap, recognizing that she's going to provide what he needs in the proper time. And so it is a child that has matured beyond the screaming infant phase, but is still dependent on his parents, right? And I think that that's what the Bible is inviting us to, a childlikeness that is always asking, always dependent, always expectant of the Lord, but isn't sort of being thrown around by all the waves of this world where we freak out, we scream, we look to other idols. So yeah, you're naming something really, really important there. I mean, I think, the reason that we can be non-cynical, mature children that are still highly dependent and still call our Father Abba, Father, Dada, is because we have a good Father who is always with us and can provide everything that we need, right? So my boys, they ask me for so many things every day. They're always asking for more treats. Give me something special is my oldest son's favorite thing to see. Dad, can I have something special? I'm like, buddy, your whole life is something special.
That's right.
And for us as children of God, that is true for us, right? Everything is grace. Our whole life is something special. And yet God wants us to keep asking and keep asking. If I gave my son everything that he asked me for every day, his life would be an absolute disaster. Yeah. And so even in my imperfect and fallen wisdom as a father, I know, son, I'm trying to give you what is best for you and the things that you really need, and not everything that you ask for. And I think, again, that that's sort of what this Advent season is about, is God, he gives you everything that you would ask for if you knew everything that he knows. Right? He gives us everything that we need from his perfect perspective.
Right.
that is eternal, where he knows that our fate is secured with him, our destiny is secured with him. So again, for me, it's like part of the key to becoming less cynical and less hardened than I am is to return to that childlike posture of asking my Father for everything that I think that I need, with the understanding that he knows what I really need. And so it's to never stop asking, to never stop expecting, which is why, opening our Bibles with anticipation, praying in a simple childlike way, not trying to impress God or others with your prayers, but just naming, here's what's actually going on, here's what I really need. And maybe the prayer that I need to pray this Advent season is, God, the truth is, Lord, I'm not sure that I even expect that something is good, something good is coming. I need you to restore my hope. I need you to restore my faith and expectancy. And I think he will really answer that prayer if we can name that that brokenness and that sadness that has infiltrated all of our Christmases, right? Like we don't have a totally innocent perspective of Christmas or of anything anymore because of the way that suffering has hurt us over the years. And it's okay to name that with your Father and ask him to restore your childlike heart. And he really will do that. We're waiting for the big payoff. We're waiting for the biggest Christmas gift, not the 100 little things that he could give us along the way that would make us happy for a little while. We're waiting for the thing that is going to be the joy of every longing heart, the thing that satisfies us for eternity, which is the return of Jesus.
Amen. Man, so much in there, and just love it. So encouraging. And in thinking about what's awesome in regards to Christmas and the yearly traditions and reminders of what Christmas provides, is that it takes us back to our growing up with Christmas. And so there's just this yearly that at least for me, like, I loved Christmas growing up, and so I try to love Christmas now and, like, in some ways hang on to those childhood memories and traditions, and it keeps me having that childlike attitude about Christmas each year. Like, I've been able to keep that. But sometimes with my faith, I don't necessarily have that built-in yearly reminder that takes me back to being a young believer.
Yeah.
And so I need to be more intentional about that.
Yeah.
I was thinking about a Young Life camp yesterday. I had a bunch of car trouble. I was in the car with somebody giving me a ride, but I was telling them about my Young Life trip. But I've had key moments throughout my life where I've experienced God in tremendous, profound personal ways that in the day-to-day life, you just sort of move on from and forget. But those contribute to that childlike awness, wonder, trust, and that has built my faith, no doubt about it. But I sort of have to go back there sometimes to keep that childlike faith. And so I guess I'm processing it out loud.
Yeah. Which is what we have to do. I think we have to process this in conversation with God and others. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, okay, how do I remember some of those key songs that impacted me, those key camp trips, those key conversations that I had with mentors, those key verses that I memorized as a kid. So again, comparing this to Christmas, and then one last thing to compare it to sports. So this year, the NBA returned to the NBA on NBC.
I know where you're going with this.
And when I watched that first night,
did you tear up a little bit?
I did. It conjured up major emotions. Being a kid with my dad and my two brothers, when that NBC song would come on, we would literally dance in the family room with anticipation that Michael Jordan and the Bulls were about to take on the Knicks on Sunday afternoon on NBC. And we were going to watch that game together and witness that game together.
I love
that. So that song by John Tesh triggers that emotion and those memories.
Yeah.
Just like at Christmas, we're going to talk Christmas songs here in a moment. When I hear For Him, when I hear Neil Diamond, when I hear Dolly Parton, and those songs come on, and it takes me back to driving around with my family looking at Christmas lights. And so anyway, let's think about that though. So what are those moments in our faith that keep us not going back to our immature faith, but going back to our childlike faith, the purity, the awness, the wonder. I keep going back to those words, but the excitement of it all.
Yeah, I mean, so C.S. Lewis has this wonderful little paragraph, and I think it's in the book Surprised by Joy, where he talks about the practice of turning your nostalgia forward. Good. He says we all have these things where we're nostalgic about these beautiful moments that we remember from the past, and we would love to recapture them. And there's a sense in which we can, but when we recapture that perfect moment from our childhood, it doesn't satisfy us in quite the same way that it did. And he talks about the fact that all of those nostalgias are longing for something that is going to be met in the future, in Christ, in the new heaven and the new earth, in the culmination of all things because of Jesus. And so the practice of, okay, what was happening in that NBA on NBC moment? What was special about, and what is it that I'm longing for? And what is going to be the better version that Jesus brings when he returns and sets all things right and establishes his kingdom? I mean, I would recommend, if you can just, I wish I could find the book, but if you could, Google C.S. Lewis on nostalgia, it's really, really good. The book that has been such a blessing to me this year is a book called Waiting on the Word by Malcolm Guite. If I could just recommend a resource for a moment. Malcolm Guite is a poet and theologian who has this wonderful book that he has collected of Christmas poems called Waiting on the Word. But his intro, so before he gets into any of the poetry, his intro to that book where he talks about the waiting of Advent, and the first coming of Jesus, how we live in between the first and second coming of Jesus, and that word Advent, the place that we hear that word most often is at the beginning of the word adventure, right? That we live in this in-between time where God is leading us on this journey between the first and second coming of Jesus, and we're waiting for something. So I would just say, when those little nostalgic moments hit you, when they hit our listeners, pay attention dig into it a little bit. What's happening here? What is it that I'm longing for? And how does Jesus offer the better version of that to me? It's a great spiritual practice, especially at times of year like this when we feel that. Yeah, I love that story, man. Yeah, I have those experiences of a little jingle that I hear before a random NBA game making something happen in my heart, right? And there's something really important going on there, I think. So I love that, man. Yeah, thanks for sharing that with us.
It's cool to contemplate and consider. And again, we tried to link sort of sports, Christmas, and the Bible all together. So there you go. Let me leave you with this, though. Mark 10, 14 and 15. And Jesus said this to the disciples, "Let the children come to me. Don't stop them, for the kingdom of God belongs to those who are like these children. I tell you the truth, anyone who doesn't receive the kingdom of God like a child will never enter it. And so, we know how children are so trusting and so just, humble and just wide-eyed and excited. And so there's a lot to be learned from kids, and Jesus valued kids. And again, we don't stay as children. We continue to mature as believers of Christ with that childlike faith and heart and attitude, wonderment, joy.
Oh, wonderment, whimsy.
It's good.
Yeah,
those are good words. So there you go. That's this year's Christmas encouragement. I want to talk a little Christmas music as well, because you mentioned a book that you're reading. The book that I'm reading this kind of Christmas season is The History of Christmas Hymns, Christmas carols. It's by one of my favorite guys, Robert J. Morgan. He wrote the book The Promise about Romans 8:28, one of my favorite books ever. But this is about the hymns. Now, some of it is I'm not overly historical. It's like the history of the writer of these songs,
right?
But you learn some of the backstory of how these songs were written, and why they were written. And the reminder for me, my big takeaway, these were written hundreds of years ago, and we're still singing "Hark the Herald Angels Sing." Right. We're still singing "O Holy Night." Now, they've changed a little bit over the years, and I love some of the new renditions. But at the heart of them, again, it goes back to this tradition and just a reminder that Jesus is real, and his followers have been around for a long time, and it's passed down, and here we are in 2025, still singing the same truth. It's the same truth. It's the same story. And that's awesome to me. Yeah. I love that. And there's a richness to the oldness of it too, an appreciation. I go to a church where we sing a lot of new songs, but I love the old hymns, and especially at Christmas. They're rich. The word rich comes to mind. So
and it's just interesting because too, with our believers, with our neighbors who don't know Jesus yet, right? I would still say that one of the last vestiges of like a cultural touch point with the gospel is some of these classic Christmas carols that still come on the radio. You still hear Bing Crosby singing "Hark the Herald Angels Sing," and there are some lyrics in that song that are so gospel rich and so Jesus centered. I mean, mild he lays his glory by, like born that dead no more may die, born to raise the sons of earth, born to give us second birth, risen with healing in his wings. I mean, it's like those lyrics are rich, rich, rich. And so, meditating on some of the great Christmas songs. I mean, I continue to believe that "O Holy Night" is not only the best Christmas song, but is one of the best songs ever written by a human. And if you hear the story of the guy who wrote that song, and I believe it was originally in French.
I read about that this morning.
His story is very nuanced. It's very interesting how he came upon that song and his own struggles with faith. And I think he maybe been one of these guys who he sort of deconstructed and kind of came back, but like he wrote, I think, one of the best songs that humans have ever, non-inspired humans have ever written down,
There are three people that were a part of that
kind of built
song.
it together, right?
Yeah,
right.
And none of them were your typical, like, pastor, or, that it wasn't that type of thing.
Yeah.
They were, I forget the term, but different type of people. So, but God spoke
great,
through them, and now all these years later, we're still singing a rich song. I went to a Christmas cantata recently, which is one of my favorite words to say, cantata.
Cantata. You sound fancy when you go to a cantata.
I went to a Christmas cantata, and they sang that song and explained that song. Actually, I think the sermon was kind of took off from that
I mean, there's
song.
some great, incredible lyrics in some of those old. I mean, a more obscure one that I really have grown to love, and Sufjan Stevens has a beautiful version of this song, is called "Lo, How a Rose Ere Blooming," and it's really, the lyrics are very interesting, but it's talking about the beauty of Jesus coming up out of humble Bethlehem. And it's just that you could do your whole morning devotion just based on the lyrics of that song. Once in royal David's city. I mean, there's these wonderful, wonderful songs. I think that you have one that you want to share with us that's maybe the other end of the historical and kind of musical spectrum, right? That has really meant a lot to you this Christmas.
I debuted it to you before the show, but one of my fans, I love rock music, and ever since I was young, I've preferred Christian rock music that has good lyrics, and so I've been a part of that for a long time. So I love Christian rock music. 1,000 Foot Crutch is my favorite band. They've got an awesome Christmas song called "Jingle Bell Rock." Jingle Bell Rock. They got their own version of that song, which is great. But this year, Skillet has a new Christmas song, and it is a classic, O Come, Emmanuel. And if you have not heard it yet, go enjoy it. Go listen to the first 3 minutes of it, and you'll go, wait, this is kind of a peaceful song. I thought this was a rock song. Wait for it. Just wait for it. And actually, poor Skillet, they've had some controversy because people don't like that they added their own element to the song, but it is tremendous. You will love it.
Yeah.
So it's great. It's O Come Emmanuel, wonderful lyrics. Just wait till the drums kick in. The electric guitar kicks in, and it takes it to another level. And as someone who loves rock, it's fantastic. I've got my girls rocking out to it. I
liked it. I'm glad you introduced it to me.
Good.
I'm definitely going to put it in the rotation. Maybe not every year, but at least for this year, I will be enjoying.
Not every year.
I mean, I sort of have like a running playlist that I built on Spotify. My struggle with all of those great songs is like, what I don't like is when some modern Christian artist comes along and just does another milquetoast version of Silent Night. You know, I would rather like either give me the just original great song that I can sing with my congregation at my local church, or I want you to really knock my socks off with something unexpected.
I agree.
And Skillet definitely falls into that second category. So I enjoyed the song a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Jordan Smith, Come Let Us Adore Him, his version of that song is tremendous.
I like that.
Oh, come all you faithful. Yeah, but his is that's my favorite. That's like my favorite Christmas song. That still holds up. So there you go. We could talk Christmas music for a while, but I did want to make sure we get into our fantasy players as Christmas movies. So we did this at Thanksgiving. We compared fantasy players to Christmas dishes, and on our Christmas special, we take a look at Christmas movies. And so we're going to run through this. We'll go fairly quickly, but I'm going to describe a Christmas movie, and then you listening at home can decide, okay, what player on my fantasy team this year reminds me of that description, and then we will share ours as well. So our first one, the Santa Claus. And so for me, this movie delivers every year. And every time I watch it, I am pleased. And so what player delivers every week, every year, every season, and you're always pleased to have him on your roster? I think it's easy. I think it's obvious. It's got to be Josh Allen.
If he's your quarterback, you're never disappointed. The floor is always tolerable. The ceiling is massive. Perfect Home Alone QB. Yeah.
Santa Claus.
Or Santa Claus. Wow. Santa Claus, the perfect Santa Claus QB. My Santa Claus guy has been Jackson Smith and Jigba. I've talked about him at length. I don't need to share any more about how much I love him, but he just week over week, you can always count on him.
I will say that CMC, when healthy, is also the answer.
Yeah.
Now, but his is the big caveat, when healthy. But when healthy, he's as good as it gets, just like Santa Claus. All right, you mentioned Home Alone. So the thing about Home Alone, the original, it's really good, but there are some down parts. A little bit slow. It's really good, but has those slow stretches, which almost you appreciate to some degree. But in fantasy, the player for me that had some really good moments, but also some down parts, was T-Mac, Teteroa McMillan. He was wide receiver 1 week. He was also wide receiver 57, wide receiver 49. But overall, he was wide receiver 13. So I'm in 14-team leagues. He's been a wide receiver 1 this season, but at times it was a little slow, a little light.
That's a good one. I mean, I'm thinking all receivers here, and maybe this is just the nature of the receiver position, but I mean, anybody who has been playing fantasy and has had to deal with the constant struggle that has been A.J. Brown knows that he has been so inconsistent here. The good weeks are really good. I'm also wondering, does Emeka Egbuka belong on this list?
I think
at this
so.
point?
The next movie, and I prefer the Home Alone 2 to Home Alone 1, but Home Alone 2 is such a fun adventure. Came in with some hype, and then it lived up to expectations. Maybe even better than the first, at least in my opinion, it is. But how about a quarterback or a player that in their second year, number 2, it's even better than the first. So they had some hype after their rookie season, and then year number 2, they took it to another level and had an elite year. This, of course, is none other than Drake May. Drake May is Home Alone 2. He's a legend in year number 2 and what he's been able to do for the Patriots this season and for my many fantasy teams. All right, let's go to the most underrated Christmas movies. And this is according to me, but I believe Christmas with the Cranks and I'll Be Home for Christmas are 2 underrated Christmas movies. So what players have had an underrated fantasy season, Trip?
Man, I mean, I think it's hard when you're paying attention to it week to week and seeing some of these things happen. But I was surprised last week or 2 weeks ago now when we landed on Chris Olave and the season that he's having. Now, he's had a couple of down weeks here, so things haven't been great for him recently. But I thought coming into the season that he was underrated. He's on a bad team. He's got the concussion issues. He was a little bit disrespected coming into the season, and I still don't really hear people talking about him. But if you've had Olave as like your wide receiver 3 or 4, which is absolutely where you could have drafted him during draft season, he might be your wide receiver 4, and he's been a top 12 guy. You know, when he's been healthy, he has been great, and he hasn't missed many games this season. So I'm going to put him in the I take issue with the movies that are cited here as underrated because neither one of these are some of my favorites, but I will put him in the underrated category with the Christmas with the
What would be
Cranks.
an underrated movie for you then?
Oh, man, I don't know. It's going to take me more time to think about it. Come back to me. I'll think about an underrated Christmas movie.
Fair enough. So
all Christmas movies are properly rated.
There you go. There you go. So Christmas Vacation, we both love, and we would consider this an awesome movie, but ultimately, it's a disaster. The whole movie is a disaster until it's sort of redeemed at the end. But what players had a disastrous season? Well, Travis Hunter. Everybody was excited about him being drafted by Jacksonville. Tyreek Hill, disaster. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, disaster. Even Joe Mixon, who never took a step on the field, also a disaster. All right, let's go to the next one. Because I don't think there's any argument with those, so I'm gonna keep moving.
Well, can we just say that in the disaster category, it is no question that the Washington Commanders across the board, it's been an unmitigated disaster.
Yes.
But how about the disaster that the Kansas City Chiefs find themselves in all of a sudden? If you have Patrick Mahomes in fantasy, you're fine. You're not worried about that. If you were counting on just about any of their other fantasy relevant players, it has been a big disaster, and now they find themselves as a real NFL team in dire straits as well. So I'm going to put them in the disaster category for this season too. Very much a Christmas vacation season for them.
It's fair. All right, so one of my favorites, Jingle All the Way. It is the most chaotic and most stressful Christmas movie, yet enjoyable. So what players had a very stressful, chaotic season? You know, I think 2 quarterbacks that come to mind, like Dak Prescott and Baker Mayfield. It's been really good. It's been sort of weird at times and a little stressful, wondering, can you trust them and what's going on, especially maybe early in the season at times for Dak. And then there's just been moments for him. And then Baker, you're trying to wrap your mind around what's going on. Really good, yet really stressful. Anybody else that comes to mind?
I just love that Jalen Waddle is on our list here. He's a guy that the Miami thing has been such a mess. It's been a wild ride for Miami this season. And Waddle has had some down weeks, but he's also had some great weeks as well. And he's a personal favorite of mine because he is kind of a messy, chaotic wide receiver.
Absolutely. All right. So we know that the Grinch movie and story is all about stealing Christmas. And what player stole your fantasy season?
Bucky Irving stole my fantasy season. In the league that I care the most about, Bucky was the guy that I needed him to come through. I was nervous when I drafted him. And even last night, he just, first week of the playoffs, he's back. I need him to do something. And he just had a mediocre, just kind of a stinky night. And Bucky has ruined my season in the league that I care about the most. He is the Grinch for me this year.
Mine are 2 guys that together in one league destroyed my season and stole my season, just like the Grinch. Drake London and George Kittle. George Brittle, as I changed my fantasy team name to when he missed early in the year. So I drafted them in the 2nd round and the 3rd round, and they delivered.
London is killing people with this injury stuff going on right into the fantasy playoffs.
Just sad.
That's rough, man.
Last one. This movie, Elf. You think that it would be absurd, ridiculous, no good. Maybe you watch the trailer, you go, come on, this sounds silly. And then it totally surprises you with a heartwarming, hilarious, fun movie. It's an absolute classic. Now, I'm not sure these two guys will be a classic, but this season, who surprised us? We thought they'd be no good. Ridiculous. None other than my guy, Bryce Young. Bruce Young.
It's messed up that you put Bryce Young under the elf heading of a list like this.
I did not think about that. You thought about it. I didn't think about it.
It's a proper category in many different ways. But yeah, he's just
call me elf one more time.
That's right. Yeah, don't tell Bryce I said that. Yeah, but you're exactly right. Yeah, it has been a heartwarming season for the Carolina Panthers, and Bryce has done what he needed to do to make it that way.
And for fantasy purposes, has been very relevant. And I will say I drafted him and then dropped him immediately.
He's
and I did not benefit from his great weeks, but he did have some great weeks throughout the year. And then the other one is Michael Wilson. It's like, come on, it's all about Marvin Harrison. And then Michael Wilson, the last few weeks of the fantasy regular season, outrageous numbers.
As someone who believed that Marvin could be the hero of the story, only to find out that he is he's a backup character, and Michael Wilson is the hero that we never expected, much like Will Ferrell's Elf was the hero that we never expected in that movie. So I think you're exactly right.
There it is. So we have gone long on today's show, and I'm actually going to have to tease two topics, not only to the end of this show, but actually to next year. All right. So next year, we will talk about going to see Santa, and we will talk about Christmas decorating. It's a controversial topic, but we will save it. So we'll have a year to talk about it. But I did want to get one final take in, one final thought.
All right, we can finish strong here.
Because I have a question to ask. Early in the show, we talked about what makes a Christmas movie. What makes a Christmas cookie? What makes a cookie turn into a Christmas cookie? And my wife, Jody, and you got Christmas cookies on there. She went to a cookie exchange with some friends in the neighborhood. And I would say that Jody's cookie was one of the better cookies of all that I tried. And I tried, I think, all of them. And so the other question that I have is, you go to a cookie exchange and then you come back with worse cookies than the one you brought.
Yes.
Just keep them here. I just want all of your cookies. No, there's no innuendo there. Well, I guess maybe there is, but no, the ones that she made were delicious. They were fantastic. So, but they had like a toffee. So because there's toffee, does that make it a Christmas cookie? In my opinion, there has to be some element of red or green or a Christmas flavor, peppermint, gingerbread. And I think we can lump toffee into that. I'm willing to go there with the toffee.
Yeah, I mean, I just think a classic sugar cookie with like the glittery sugar kind of sprinkled on top feels like Christmas. I mean, the question is, I consider myself something of a cookie connoisseur. It sounds like maybe you do too. The question is, does your wife just objectively make the best cookies that got taken to that party? Or is she your wife because you discovered long ago that she is a woman who makes masterful cookies according to your standard of the perfect cookie?
That's a great question,
I think that has been a big factor in Brentley and I's relationship. She makes the perfect chocolate chip cookie, and that is so important to me as a man and as a husband that I just think maybe there's a little bit of bias there, where I'm sure there are other husbands at home that are saying, what are these cookies you brought home from Jody? You know, they're probably not. It sounds like she just made the best cookie at the party.
It was right up there. Yeah, there were a couple that were good, but I appreciated how delicious it was. But
that's a good take, man. Yeah, Christmas cookies are a controversial subject, I think. Yeah.
I think so, because sometimes they sneak in there and I go, like, just a typical average chocolate chip cookie to me is not a Christmas cookie. I'm not going to consider that one. If I can have it in September, I want a cookie that I can only eat at Christmas to really be a Christmas cookie.
Yeah.
And sometimes those are random, but they've just become Christmas cookies, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Even though they might not follow my qualifications of red and green sprinkles or some sort of Christmas element. To it.
I'm with you. That's a good take, man. I like that.
All right.
That's a good one to end on. Strong finish there.
We will end on that note. So here we go. This year's Christmas special. It's Unpacking It. It's Fantasy Football Fellowship. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks to Tripp for being a part of all of our shows this year. Tremendous contributions to our ministry. And love doing the show with you, man.
I've been so grateful to be a part of this, man. I'm thankful to all of our listeners. This is so special that I get to be a part of it. It's been another great year and fun to end with the Christmas episode here with you, brother.
Absolutely. We appreciate all of you. Merry Christmas to you. Thanks to all of you that support our ministry financially. If you have not made a year-end donation, and would like to and feel that God puts that on your heart, we greatly appreciate all of your support as we depend on donors to support our ministry, Unpacking It, as well as Fantasy Football Fellowship. You can go to unpackingit.com/donate, and we greatly appreciate that. For Trip, I'm Bryce. I'm a sports fan, a follower of Jesus, and a fantasy manager, and a Christmas cantata fan as well. But I follow Jesus. I believe in the good news that he died on the cross for my sin. He was resurrected. And through faith, I've been saved by his grace. He came as a baby, and he lived a perfect life. He is the King of Kings. He is the Lord of Lords. He's who we worship and serve and give all glory and honor to. Let's not lose that childlike faith. Let's keep it. Awe and wonder for him and who he is. And so enjoy celebrating him every day, and especially this Christmas season. Enjoy all the festivities and the fun. I'm Bryce. Have a great one. We'll talk to you next time right here on the Unpacking It podcast and the Fantasy Football Fellowship podcast. Make sure you're subscribed to both. We'll talk to you soon.